want to be a teacher. I want to teach 5th grade. My teacher, I like her because she's very nice. She makes it fun to learn.
Teaching has changed so much in the past years that if there were not staff development, it would be a no-go situation. The world has changed, society's changed, family's changed, everything's changed, so we have to change with it. In order to be able to do that, we have to stay current. We have to generate enthusiasm to our students and among ourselves, and the best way to do that is to get out of the school and find out what's happening with research in our own particular areas.
Over the past 2 decades, American schools have been the source of increasingly fervent public concern. Failure to move forward has led to dismal decline, with conditions so poor as to place our very nation at risk. Yet, amid all the rumblings, compelling success stories have emerged which offer both hope and direction. One such story comes from what some might consider an unlikely place: a suburban school system on the outskirts of Birmingham, Alabama, in a place called Mountain Brook.
I think it was a great starting point. I was pushed at each level, and I feel like I worked as hard there as I ended up having to work in college and law school. It set the tone, and it was an incredible way to start.
Founded in 1959, the Mountain Brook City Schools had become known by the early 90s as the best system in the state, recognized among leaders throughout the Southeast for its student performance. Strong community support, involved parents, and excellent teachers had created schools which were a justifiable source of pride and a primary catalyst for high property values. Here the story takes an interesting turn. Mountain Brook had reached its goal of an excellent school system, but that wasn't enough. This community refused to go the way of so many other schools. Mountain Brook refused to stand still and let an ever-changing world pass its students by. Instead of becoming satisfied and complacent, the community made a commitment to pursue even higher goals, a commitment to keep improving its programs to meet the needs of students in a changing world. Mountain Brook made a commitment to forward the excellence.
I think the Mountain Brook system, it still has a real personable feel to it. You feel like you're living in a small town. People want to be involved in the schools. So it's the driving force, I think, behind everything in our community. And I think if you asked people in our community what they were the proudest of, they would probably say the school system.
I don't know that every child can get an A or a B, but at least he's exposed in a community where getting good grades and accomplishing things is important. But you have to have the right environment, and Mountain Brook provided that for him. And if you're in that kind of environment, you tend to do better.
The first step on the road to ongoing excellence began with the Board of Education's commitment to creating a world-class school system, a system which would enable every student to reach his or her full potential. It soon became clear that 2 elements were critical to reaching these lofty aspirations. First, if teachers and staff were to teach new content in more effective ways, they would have to learn new knowledge and skills themselves. The school system would have to become what management expert Peter Senge of MIT calls a learning organization, in which all members are continuously improving their knowledge and skills. This would be a crucial step in both keeping and attracting the best teachers.
I started teaching in 1964, and a lot has happened. A lot of technology has taken place in 64, and teaching methods of 64 are not necessarily the best teaching methods now. Everybody feels like this is the year of technology, because of the acquisition of the computers and all of the software and all of the software for the students. I'm really excited about that.
Integrating technology into the instructional fabric of the schools would be crucial to creating a world-class school system. Technology, with its powerful tools for both learning and teaching, would have to become as much a part of the local schools as it is a part of business, professions, and higher education. Identifying these 2 key elements, teacher development and technology, was one thing. Securing the resources to provide them was quite another. Mountain Brook schools were funded at a level in keeping with the national average. Yet, like most school systems, it took the entire budget to simply maintain desirable class sizes and meet the demands of everyday operation. State funding was unpredictable at best, rising and falling with the priorities of changing legislatures and turns in the economic cycle.
Staff development helps anybody, including me, to better relate to the students, to learn new, not only technology, but new information, new methods, new ways of dealing with the students as changes with the student body occur.
Recognizing the problem of financing improvement, a group of Mountain Brook citizens stepped forward and said, in effect, "We are not going to allow school improvement to be a sometime thing. We are not putting aside our vision of a world-class school system." And so they formed the Mountain Brook City Schools Foundation, the vehicle by which they would forward the excellence. By creating an endowment, the community guaranteed its schools the resources to continually improve the skills of its teachers and staff and to provide technology to make education more effective, challenging, and engaging. The results of this commitment are evident as soon as you enter a Mountain Brook school. Students and teachers have access to a rich array of information sources and learning tools. Whether tapping into a major university library collection or conducting science experiments, students use powerful tools of technology as comfortably and competently as their parents used a chalkboard.
Staff development has been real beneficial. It's hard to understand the expanding potential of technology without participating in staff development and becoming an informed teacher. Mountain Brook is going through a lot of changes, and if you want to be part of developing this change, then you need to be a part of technology. Otherwise, technology will happen around you.
Mountain Brook teachers will tell you that as a result of this commitment, to work in their schools is to become a lifelong learner, always finding better ways to meet the needs of each and every student.
Last summer, I had an opportunity to go on a geologic dig with some professors from the University of Alabama. This was funded through our school system. Without workshops and seminars, it's impossible to stay on top of the techniques that are needed for the classroom.
Each summer, Mountain Brook schools become universities, where teachers have the opportunity to gain the knowledge and skills they need to reach their goals for the coming year. And throughout the year, they continue to learn and share with their colleagues as they incorporate their new skills into teaching. The most important results of this commitment are evident in the students.
See, I have this thing at school and I get to work at sometimes I get to do computers and write stories and play games, and the teacher helps me.
Students in these schools are actively engaged in learning. Learning which challenges each student to do his or her best work. All in an environment which creates an excitement about learning, which will last a lifetime. As a result, Mountain Brook students compete on a par with the nation's best students from public or private schools.
From what I've heard from people that have gone through the school system, their high school and college careers have been much easier for them coming from a school as strong as Mountain Brook. And we happen to have good teachers and a good curriculum, and it really helps the kids to be better prepared when they reach the higher levels. We use computers all the time because in the future probably be a lot of presentations I'll have to give, and computers will come in handy.
I've noticed a lot more, especially being my senior year, that I'm not just in school learning about schoolwork, I'm learning about life. With economics that we've been studying, it's life. Because everything you see is going to occur later in life. I'm starting to see connections in every single one of my classes, with whether it's Greek philosophy in Latin or economic theory, it's all classes are starting to tie together.
Excellent schools not only reflect but also perpetuate a high quality of life in any community. In forwarding the excellence for their own students, the citizens of Mountain Brook have set a new standard, showing the way to other schools in their city and state, as well as the South and even the nation.
We picked the school that we wanted our girls to attend, and that defined the geography for our house search. Well, I think there's a very constructive learning environment there. The teachers genuinely care. I think the small class size is a very important ingredient there as well. Again, that's part of communicating that caring attitude and that interest in the student.
From a business point of view, a strong school system is absolutely imperative if a community is going to grow. That means that things like school systems and people like teachers and administrators need to be able to re-examine their own management skills, management techniques, and change and adjust to adapt to changes and adjustments in our society.
Just as successful companies protect at all costs their avenues for growth, this community has ensured that its schools will continue to enable each and every child to reach his or her full potential. Because in true excellence, there is no standing still, but rather an ongoing pursuit of what is higher and best. That is why, as long as there are parents with dreams for their children, and children with dreams of their own to fulfill, we in the community of Mountain Brook will work together to forward the excellence.